Welcome back to Retiring Today. It's time for Your Journey, Your Questions. This is when we answer questions that we've received during our online Journey to Retirement workshop. So during the workshop recently, we got this question. Is there normally such a large market correction in an average 5-year time period? Before we answer the question, guys, though, we should set this up because this came in real time during the online Journey to Retirement workshop. You guys have these segments that you go through. And during one of the segments, Loren, some numbers come up on the screen and they show recent recessions over the last, 20 years or so. And I think that was probably a question that came in during that section.
Yeah, most definitely. We talk about how we go through recessions on average every 5 to 6 years. But what was referenced here was a market correction, a large market correction. So recession's more economic driven economy and correction is more stock market, which is what most people are really caring about. And on average, we go through a correction every year. On average, we go through a bear market, which is probably the intent of the question, a large market correction every couple of years. So we go through market and economy events on a consistent basis. Every year we go through something where the market's going to dip a little bit more than 10% on average and over 20% every couple of years. So this is not something that we should be surprised by. In fact, we've seen it this year. We saw in 2022, we saw a bear market and some would deem a recession even in 2022. And then we can all remember 2020, what happened in March of 2020, and then of course 2018, where the market was down more than 10% in just December alone. So even if we look back over the last 6 years, there have been many market and economy driven events that would make us a little bit queasy going into retirement if we had to depend upon the portfolio and didn't have an active strategy in place.
And I know you guys, because you watch the markets very closely, of course you remember exactly what happened. Just for those of us who don't watch them quite as closely, it's also what's going on in the world that a lot of times coincides. So of course 2020 COVID, everybody remembers COVID, and then of course the stock markets react to that. 2008 was the Great Recession, the housing bubble burst. 2001, the dot-com bubble burst. All recent recessions that a lot of people who are 57, which is who we're talking to today, remember because they had a 401k they were investing at that time.
We all remember those experiences. Everybody's probably heard the 2OK, right? The 2008, 2009 recession where the S&P was down as much as 58% over a 18, 19-month time period. That's where everybody said, yeah, my 401k got turned into a 201k. We have those conversations yet today, which is now how many years ago? Going on 16 years
but
later.
People have not forgotten.
It's on their minds.
So impactful.
Yep, and people remember that feeling, that queasy feeling of, okay, well, this doesn't feel good. This isn't what we want to see in the markets. And now when you're 57, based on everything Loren shared, odds are you're going to go through this again before you retire. And now what you need to be thinking about is this timing. When are these market corrections going to happen? How big are they going to be? How long are they going to last? That is a very important part of these last final years. So between 57 and whatever that retirement goal or age is, you want to be intentional, make sure that you know how much risk you're taking and feel good about whatever the markets do. You feel like you're still going to be on your path to achieve your retirement goals.
And no one can answer when they're going to happen, Chawn, but what you can do, Loren, is be prepared for them. You don't have to sit back and watch your 401k become a 201k.
Yeah, these corrections, these bear markets, another word for that is volatility, where the market goes up and down just more steeper than what traditionally it does. Volatility can actually be a really good thing. And the way we look at this is not something to be afraid of because we know it's going to happen. So one, let's be prepared for it. Let's have action steps in place prior to when we go through these bad events in the market and the economy. So when it does happen, your portfolio doesn't get ransacked by what's taken place. You can still have the retirement that you want to. And two, there's action steps that you can take to put yourself in a better position once we go through these events, once they're over with. Because the one thing that has been constant is that they've always ended and there's always been a better time. And that will continue to persist throughout. If it doesn't, then it doesn't really matter what decisions we make. So we have to say it's always going to be better throughout. Now let's have action steps in place to take advantage of it and let retirement be what retirement is, regardless of all of these things that nobody can really control.
And this question came in during the Journey to Retirement workshop. And what's happening in that workshop generally during this time period is you've got this couple, John and Sue, they're kind of the stars of our workshop. You're taking them through this, you're showing the market corrections, but then you say, hey, here's what Chawn and Sue can do right now to build a portfolio that will do just what you're talking about, which is not blow up when the markets do.
Yeah, when we're looking at Chawn and Sue, we're talking about if they're taking higher risk and lower risk, and the lower risk doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to get the returns, because again, we don't know what the markets are going to do. There's uncertainty. So we talked to Chawn and Sue about the ability to build what we call a recession-resistant portfolio. And a lot of people, their eyes and ears are going to perk up and say, well, I want one of those.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Because we just talked about that you're going to have a recession likely before you retire. And then certainly in your 20, 30, 40-year retirement journey, you're going to see a number of recessions. So now's the right time, 57 and beyond, to learn more about what it means to have a recession-resistant portfolio, and what can you do, whether markets are up or markets are down, what should you be implementing into your retirement plan?
We've been talking a lot about our Journey to Retirement workshop. I want you to see it. I want you to meet Chawn and Sue. You'll meet our retirement planners as well, and you'll get a really good look at not only this market correction thing that we're talking about, but a comprehensive retirement plan. All the things that go into it, the 6 pillars that we've mentioned, it's all right there in the Journey to Retirement workshop. It's as easy as texting Journey to the number on your screen right now. You can get signed up for a time and a date that works for you and meet Chawn and Sue.